Have we got it open, Max?
No.
Was that the
okay.
project sharing?
Yeah, project sharing.
Which file is it?
Max, project sharing, yeah.
So is it only?
Yeah, just click yes, don't worry about it. Okay, so today we're going to go over three relatively quick things. So the first is going to be project sharing, which we're starting to use more and more on projects. The second is the resource browser, which we had some requests that people would like to go over that. And the third is the issue manager, which is something we've just started to have a play with, and looks like it could save us quite a lot of time when we're updating issue sheets or updating drawings to be issued. So I'll do project sharing, and then Max will go over the other two options. So if we, are we setting up? So this has got all the layers we need to set up as a project sharing first. Okay, so, okay. What I'll do, if everyone could actually just close that file, annoyingly, I'll go through how we set up a project sharing file. And then once that's done, we can all open it and we can have a play around with what's happening. So first thing you would do, this is just a normal Vectorworks file. We've set up a lot of layers so that we can all have a sort of go at taking a layer and working on it. If you go to File and Project Sharing, and we'll click that. So it asks you if you just want to save this, because the creating of a project sharing file creates a new file. So it would be good practice just to save this as like a backup or a superseded or something like that. I'll just save it here as.
Sorry, so before we close on that.
No, if everyone just closes it, and then the first bit will be sort of just a watch, and then so I'll save that. Okay, so then we get this menu here, and this just kind of works us through step by step how we would set this up. So if we click next, and what we need to do is we need to set up some users. So what we can do here is we can add different users to the project. We can give them a color, so we can recognize what information they've got checked out, and we can also give them different privileges. So we can make it so they can only read the file. So if there's someone that you don't want to be able to edit things, but you want them to be able to open it, that's when you can give them access to layers, but they can only do certain things. You can give them access to layers, but they can do more things. And as you work your way up, you can give them full administrative privileges so they can edit things. We did try and restrict it previously just to see how that would work, but to be honest, we're not really getting any benefits from it. So the idea is probably everyone would be administrative, unless there's a particular reason why you wouldn't want someone to edit everything. Because we're all going to be administrators, and for the purposes of the workshop, what I'll do is I'll just change this box at the bottom here, and this gives us our default permission for new users. So this means that if anyone opens up the file, they're automatically added to this list and given whatever privileges you set them. So this one's set at project, which is quite high, and I could also set this at administrator if I wanted, or I could say, right, anyone that opens the project that I've not, or I don't want to, can just read it only. The other thing to maybe consider is that when your username, that must be the name that your Max registered as. So I think Max's is Max E. I think most people is like their names. Some people might have like NMA laptop still or something like that. So you just need to check what your kind of username is on your computer. If you don't know what it is, you could just log in to the file and your name will pop up here, and then someone can go and change you to the right permission.
So the default permission for new users, would you have that on administrative or project?
Potentially project's the best one.
Okay.
So administrative basically means they can change the project sharing setup, and then project means they can do pretty much everything apart from that. It's good to have at least 2 people as administrative access on the file, because if one of you cock something up, then the other person can kind of fix it, rather than locking you both out of it. I've had that on a project where I've done something stupid and then to try and fix it. So yeah, we could just set that all to administrative. So that's pretty quick intro to that thing. Don't worry about it too much. If you do need to set a project sharing file up from scratch, then we're happy to help you through it. For the purpose of this, just to give you a kind of more of a feel for how to use it. So then we click next and we get layers. So this means we can classify layers as different types. The main thing we can do is to set master layers, and they're layers that you can only edit if you have the right permissions. So someone with read-only or layers restricted wouldn't be able to edit these, but someone with more sort of privileges would be able to. So this is really useful for things like structural grids and other information that you don't really want anyone to touch once they've been set up. So we've not really got anything on this file that we would need to do. But yeah, if we had like a structural grid set up, I'd probably recommend we give that little star. And all you do is you just click the star there for first possible. Imagine that's our grid. The next one and final one is just setting up a backup policy. So what we say is, because we're always backing up on our computers because we've got a working file, we don't tick this, we just leave it blank. Otherwise it starts to clog up the server. Once we've done that, we click finish. And then this is just telling me that we've opened the master project file, but any changes I make for the minute are saved on a working file. So there's basically with project sharing, there's two files. There's the master file, which resides on the server, and that's where the kind of central repository of information is. The working file is what you would do all your changes in, and that sits on your computer. And then when you sort of save things and commit them to the project, they go back to the server and everyone else can read them. Does that kind of make sense? It'd be nice to have like a flashy diagram at this point to explain that. But if you go on the Vectorworks website, they've got quite a good video that you can kind of see some diagrams if you're not quite convinced by it. So but just click OK. And what I can see up here, sorry. If you see at the top, what we've got is we've created project sharing. Oh, it's got backup, and then it says max E, and it says working file in capitals, so I know that I'm in the working file. So now that I've done that, if everyone wants to have a go at opening up the this new project sharing file that I've set up, so it's called project sharing _ backup, and then it will just give you that same message. You can click don't show this again if you don't want to see that dialogue again. Might be helpful. Cool. So has everyone sort of got a bit of a flavour of setting up a project sharing file? Has anyone got any questions about that?
If your working file sits on your desktop or your computer,
yeah,
would that cause issues for referencing things? So would you have to find all the references?
No, it won't need to do that. The only issue you might have is so project sharing is designed so that you could check out some layers, take your laptop home, work on it at home, not connect to the server, come back into the office and then upload everything again. The only issue you might have is if you weren't connected to the server, you might not have the layers. They'll be in the the references. They'll be in the file, but you won't be able to kind of, it'll maybe not work so well.
Just thinking, how would it work? You wouldn't be able to check the reference layers out.
No, I don't think you can do that anyway. Really,
they wouldn't come with the. So if you had a survey file that was referenced in, you'd need to take that. How? I can't see how that would work.
I don't know. We're not. So we'll maybe test that out. Yeah. You're not doing any work at home really, so.
I don't think you need it.
Some people. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, it should work. I mean, people have taken files home, just normal files and references, and it will work. So,
so which file do we go?
The project sharing _ backup. Has everyone got that open? Okay, so the first thing that we'd probably do is we would, now we've opened up our working files, we'll just save a copy of the working file onto your computer. So generally we'd save it in documents or desktop, or you could set up some kind of folder for it. And that just means that once it's saved, it will start to do backups automatically, and means you won't lose any work if we crash it. So the next thing just to point out is the sort of differences here. So what we've got in the file menu is we've got save, which we're all pretty familiar with. And if you click save when you're working on a project sharing file, that's only going to save information to your computer, to the working file. It's not going to save it to the project sharing file. So other people working on the project won't be able to see it. What you'd need to do is you need to go down to this bottom one down here. People's menus might be laid out slightly differently.
Mine is, sorry.
Yeah, so you'll probably have a nice little project sharing section that makes it a little bit clearer, like Holly's got. So save and commit would mean that you can save any information and commit it back to the project sharing file. So that's basically save for all intents and purposes. Okay, so does everyone kind of understand the difference between those two things? Right. Yeah, the other things, other bits that are really useful to know is close and release. So close and release is what you'd need to do when you finish working on a file. So rather than just clicking save and commit and closing the file, you need to click close and release. Otherwise, you're going to keep all the layers or the objects checked out that you've been working on. And then if you did that and then went off on holiday for a couple of weeks, the other people in the project wouldn't be able to work on those layers until you got back in and actually closed and released the layers. So it's really important that when you close down the Vectorworks or when you finish working on a file, that you use close and release to get rid of the things you've been working on. The other things that are pretty useful, refresh will mean that you can update the file and get any information that people have saved and committed to the server into your file. And you do this without having to save and commit. So you can click refresh and it will give you any changes that people have made. You can also click this little sort of swirly arrow thing, top left. Can everyone see that? The other one, as project sharing specific, is revert, and that just goes back to the initial sort of version of the file you opened up and just discards all the changes you've made. Okay, so does everyone understand that? Okay, so in 2017, there's two ways that we can work on the file. We can check out specific objects, or we can check out whole layers. So what you might find if you've worked on project sharing recently is you've tried to edit a wall and you get this box coming up every time you try and edit something. So it says this operation will require the following objects to be checked out. Do you want to check them out? So that means every time that you do something, you're asked to check out the walls, and it's quite time consuming. It is a way of sort of handling it, but it's quite time consuming. So I can click yes, and it will check out those walls and it will allow me to make the change, or I could have clicked no and it would have cancelled everything. So if you do want to work with just objects, so that means that you can work with, say, any walls on a layer, and someone else could work with any elements of like furniture or any doors. The best way to do it actually is to select the objects that you want to check out. You could use the magic wand tool, for example, to select all the walls on a layer. And then if you go to modify, and right down the bottom here, you've got a little box that says checkout. So that means I can check out all the walls on a specific layer and move them about. Still got walls. I think I didn't select all the walls, sorry. So I need to select all these. But it wouldn't have checked out, say, like the symbols. Once I've made my changes, I just go back to modify and I click release. And that gets rid of all the layers and asks me if I want to commit or discard my changes. So I can commit and click OK. So that's the first one. The other way of working, which is potentially more useful, is to check out whole layers at a time. And to do this, it would be the best thing to do before you start doing any work. You need to go to File, Project Sharing, and if everyone wants to do this now, that would be useful. Okay, and then you click on a layer. So I'm going to choose first floor 4. Everyone maybe, if we start at Boisget, would pick out first floor, and then everyone else kind of works their way around 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so we're not all checking out the same thing, and we click checkout.
I'm picking on first floor, right?
First floor, yeah. So you click checkout.
Message, won't it? If
Yeah, so you need to click checkout bottom left. And you'll be able to see as we do this that people have checked things out. So if I go back to project sharing, we can see who's working on the files and when they checked it out.
So they've all got working files now.
It's good practice to kind of work what you're planning to do, just so we've got a record, although it does get a little bit time consuming. So I'd recommend it, but it's not always sort of followed, to be honest. So now what we can do is, if everyone makes a change to the project sharing file, so you could, oops. So you could draw something new, you could move something, you could write a message for everyone else. I'm going to draw some walls. And then once we've done that, if we go back to file and we go save and commit, and then you can again write what you've done. And then there's a box here that says automatically release checked out layers and objects. So if we were going to finish there, we could leave that ticked, but we'll probably do some more work, so we'll leave that unticked. And you can also commit changes to other things that aren't directly related.
Why don't we do any changes?
Let's have a look, Tommy. Are you on the right layer? So you need to be on the layer you've checked out. So you I don't think you're on the right layer. So just go to project sharing, file, project sharing.
Blue, highlighted blue when you've checked out a layer.
There you go. And then, so you've not checked one out. So if you click there and then click checkout. No, don't click OK. You need to click checkout.
Yeah, that's it.
And click yes. Okay, and then if everyone's done that, if we all click refresh, and there's a little box there, and you can scroll through the file and see the different changes that people.
Changes.
Yeah, everyone's gone crazy. So I think, yeah.
Yeah, that works well.
Okay, and then last thing to do is we've all finished working on the file, so all we do is go close and release. And you'd also ask to sort of save it to your backup thing. Okay, so the last thing to just go through is if we may have the situation where someone's forgotten to close and release their file, and you've got a massive deadline coming up, you really need to do some work in it. So what you can do is you can actually just kick them out of the file. So you need administrative privileges to do this. Telmo's still checked in, so what I can do is I can go into the second floor and I can just click release, and that'll say, right, Telmo's done some changes. I don't care, release anyway. So that's the thing to do. If it's not letting you make changes because someone's got something checked out, you can go in and just beat them out basically. So that is basically project sharing. So a little bit confusing at the start, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty simple. Roger and Kate did a good job, I think, on Hoe Street, getting it to work. It seemed to meant we could get things done quite quickly. So yeah, has anyone got any questions? Cool, over to Max.
Okay, just have a quick flick through the resource manager, which has had an update, a refresh in the last release, and I'm sure you're all familiar with it to some extent, and it's a little bit different in the sense that it seems to take up more space. So the first thing I want to talk about is the position of it. You can have it. I mean, lots of people have their different sort of workspaces set up differently anyway. So you can have it docked in your menus, but I find that because of the new way it's laid out and sort of all the potential things you can access, you might want to see the full spread. So I have mine sort of floating, I suppose, and I pop it, and it kind of has an automatic minimize and sort of maximize functionality. There is a shortcut to bring it up, which is Control R. Mine doesn't work, so I've got that set for something else. But if you do lose your resource manager, you can Command R, or you can go to Window Palettes and take it back on. So if we open up the file resource manager, so it's file open, and it's in the same location as the project sharing. It's actually called Resource Manager Issue Manager. So if we open up that one. In the same place that this project sharing. Yep.
Issue manager.
It's resource manager, issue manager. It's the file. If you open up the file.
All right.
Yeah. So, for the purpose of this little sort of run through, maybe it's good that you pull your resource manager into the middle so you can see all the sections and windows that it has. Has everyone got the resource manager in front of them? Yeah, everyone got it? Resource manager? So the top is your functions for the resource manager. The left is your navigation. The middle is the resources, and the left is the right is a preview with, if it's got any sort of data attached, that will display on the bottom right there. So we're going to flick through. For the top left, you've got your Vectorworks libraries, which you can toggle on and off. So if you only want to see the open files, you can actually turn those off, so you can just have the files that are open. Your favorites are certain libraries or that you might have that you might use frequently. So if you're using if you're on a project and you're using the library file for that project frequently, you might have that as a favorite. Workgroups is a local sourced. I think that's our local directory, but I'm not quite sure how that works in other sort of. I haven't really explored user libraries. The cloud stuff is the subscription libraries, so like things that you can download from the Vectorworks online directory, and then there's the internal Vectorworks libraries that are already on your machine. If we move across, the next drop down is the action. Now this is a handy little thing. I mean, often you'll have a library. You'll have to open a library file and edit in the library file itself. But if you can browse a document here. So if you click browse, you can then choose your library file for that project. So if I go back, I've got one library test. So I'm going to have a look at that, and that will pop up in the browse libraries at the bottom here. So you can then directly access the resources in the library rather than having to open the file. You can even add that file to your favorites. So if I'm using this a lot, I might add it to my favorites if I'm on a project continuously.
Would you add something to your favourites?
You right click on the on the file, and you should be able to add selected file to favorites. That's all right. So then you've got direct quick access to the resources. And then the important thing to note is how we use the library file. We're not importing information, we're referencing it. So, for example, this wall here, this library file will be referenced into my model file anyway, but to make sure that the resource is in there, you reference it. If you import, it breaks the link, so any work that you do in your library file won't update in your model, because we're doing the majority of our kind of wall types and line types or symbols are coming from the library file. It shouldn't be live in your model files. They should be resourced referenced in. So we've got browse a document, which we've touched on. Add a favorites file.
When you reference something in,
Yeah.
where, so in the live file that you're working on,
Yes.
where do you actually access it then if you've referenced it in, to make sure that you're using the referenced one and not another version?
If you navigate
So like
to
wall style.
yeah, if you navigate to the highlighted file that's open.
Document.
Yes.
So if I reference that in,
Yeah.
like that, so this will be
Yeah, okay.
anyway, and then just click.
I haven't seen that message before, but yeah, it should be in there.
It'll be
And
that one with
yes,
italics.
italics.
Italics, yeah.
Yeah. And I'll double click on that. And then
That's a good way to know.
Yes, you can
and
apply
it's
that.
still-
References, it'll be in italics.
Yeah.
Then just apply that for.
That's a good point to know, because it is a bit confusing, but I think they should make it a bit clearer, because italics sometimes get lost in the text. So I'm not going to go into all the functionalities of the resource browser, but you can sort of remove all your favorites, refresh your libraries, open, reveal in Finder. It's quite handy. This gets you sort of up and down sort of trees and files in the tree. So sort of if I'm in all types, I can go back out of that and up to the top level of information. Displays. So you've got your thumbnails, display with information, or just listed. I like to have thumbnails. And then you've got categories for the resources. So you might want to just look at the wall styles, and it will pull out the wall styles. And it's got a really advanced search functionality as well, where you can search if you've got a very, very big library with lots and lots of information, and you can't quite remember where you put it, or you want to search something by data, you can actually click on the little magnifying glass, and you can include records or exclude them. So I might want to look for windows. I mean, I'm not sure if it does it from the top, so let's just check. Go to all, I think you have to be in all resources if you want to. Are there any windows in here? I'm not sure there are any windows, but so walls. That searches all the resources.
You can just do it by wall styles, or if you did Windows, then some Windows will pop up from the actual subscription libraries.
Right. Okay. Well, it is pulling in information from my subscription libraries there. So, thank you very much. Did everyone get that in the magnifying glass? Yeah. So that's, otherwise, it does search through everything.
It can be useful.
Yeah, it can be useful if you want to. Yeah, if you wanted to look through the subscription libraries for new things that we don't have in our internal libraries here at LMA. Yeah, I mean that's the resource browser. Again, you can resize it, and it kind of molds itself into just having the search function. So people who are comfortable with using that and one of the things that you might want to dock it somewhere, you might want to have it docked at the side, so you can search for it, whatever. I prefer to have the full length so I can see and access more functionality. So it has this automatic kind of on and off button. So yeah, that's a bit of a sort of look at the resource manager update. I'll quickly touch on a tool that's been around for a while, but we haven't really used it, and it's had an update.
Do you have any questions about the resource browser before we?
Yeah, sorry, is there any questions? Someone says, hotline.
Ben, you got a question about the BIM workshop?
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, can I call you back in like 10 minutes?
Yes, it is.
It's
Good. Good. Right, okay. So, right, we'll just quickly touch on this tool called Issue Manager. So if you go to the sheet file, actually no, let's open up. I think no, it's okay. We'll stay in this file. And if we look at the sheets, I've duplicated. I should have duplicated a few sheets. Go across to your sheet tab. The next one across. Right. Okay. If you want to duplicate some sheets, just right-click and duplicate a few. You got that, Samuel? Just duplicate some sheets.
There's no sheets created as there.
Yeah, if everyone creates a couple of new sheets,
Yeah.
That'd be really handy.
Just duplicate a few new sheets. Everyone done that?
Yeah.
So if we go to navigate to File and then scroll down to Issue Manager, this is all feeding into time-saving things that we need to achieve here. So it pops up with the project data, which if you input some information, will save across all your sheets. You don't have to input. As a client, I'm just going to put some gobbledygook in here, the address. And then the next tab along, so that will save sort of, you might want to do that early doors when you're setting up your first set of plans or what have you. Sheet data has your drawing number, your drawing title, and drawing title 2, your revisions, and you can change information in here. And then there's a tab at the bottom which enables you to flick through. So if you change some of the stuff in the first sheet, maybe the number or the drawing title, and then there's a toggle button at the bottom of the menu bar which says next, and you can flick through to your next sheet and you can change information there. It just saves a little bit of time of having to go into each sheet, then open up the title block individually. We're talking milliseconds here, but
The drawing number is the navigation.
thanks, Sam.
On here.
So is everybody kind of
Comes up with the same drawing number from
yes? Because I think we duplicated when we duplicated. It didn't change. Oh, did it change? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it wasn't
Right.
allowed.
Okay. That's right. Make a note of that. That's not working. It's anyway, just, yeah, but we'll get there.
in theory.
Yes.
So if you manually change those to match the sheets, would it
Hopefully.
work?
No, that should. Holly's just pointed out that if you change the drawing number, it doesn't work. But we have figured out how the tool works. So I've managed to make the drawing title 1 change on the sheets, but it looks like the drawing number isn't updating when you duplicate sheets. So that's something we need to update.
I fixed that on by, well, if you change it in the drawing number there, it will then update the,
Oh, okay, right.
yeah.
I think it should automatically.
that'll update when you click OK.
Yeah.
Just when you duplicate it won't work.
Right, okay, so it's the same with, actually, I'm just going to pull this over and look at that. It's the same with the sheet title seems to be separate. So that should be the same as the drawing title, I believe.
Yeah.
So
It shouldn't be separate, it should be the same.
yeah, well, it is separate. Yeah.
This 90 degrees split number of pilot discount.
Yeah.
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 So on one I have says untitled 4, on other says MMA title block 2014.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if you
Yeah, if you just want to test,
yeah,
if you just want to test changing a few things in the issue manager just to see, like the revision, you could change that to P3 or 2 or whatever, and just see if that updates. It would be good to get some feedback. And you can include that in the current issue, which I believe feeds into the publishing
yeah, that's a good, yeah, probably will be.
manager. The next tab along, the last tab, is issue data. This isn't working, but it should work soon because it does work on the examples I've seen online. So you'll be able to change the current revision and the note and the date and record that on the checked sheets only, or record on all sheets if you're having the same issue for all the drawings. So it just saves a bit of time of having to go into each sheet, and it's a kind of simple central interface to work from. So I think it means the sheet that you,
Including current issue.
yes.
That bottom.
So yeah, potentially only works well if you're giving everything the same revision number, which isn't very often, but
No. But you could know, because if you, I'm sure you can have it individually. If I scroll to the previous one and go to issue data and change that there,
okay,
then it would,
yeah.
well, I say it would, just have a look.
Anyway, we'll let you know when that's working.
Yeah.
We'll get it working.
We're going to get that working. It's quite complicated, but yeah, so that was just a bit of an insight into the possibility of using the issue manager as an interface rather than having to click on each title block, then go to edit title block and then change it from here. But you know, either way, as long as the information is correct. Any questions about the issue manager?
Just to put the revision data, as in the reason for revision. Is that? I just missed that. So you're changing your revision number, but if you're saying, don't know, move the wall. Just
No, this feeds into just the title block because we have a copy of the revision in the title block
Yeah.
here at the bottom,
So it's
and
just
then
that.
we have the
It's
two
not-
should be linked really,
Yeah.
so you don't have to do it twice.
We tried to get it linked, but it doesn't work.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I've requested it as a feature.
Right, okay. So we do, have the revision data within the in the title block, which is the revision, and then we actually have the revision data, which
You
is
still have
separate.
to do that manually.
Yeah. But hopefully by the time we finish with the issue manager, we'll be able to change it. And at this point, fingers crossed it should work. But if it doesn't, we'll keep posted. I'll circulate the files and update the template.
Well, has anyone got any questions? Sorry, it's not been the most exciting of BIM workshops, but some useful tools. Cool, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, great. Andy, how's it going? Good. Yeah, good. No, just come through, let me look.
I think we recorded that one.
Okay.